Hey folks, Mark back here with another vinyl update. It's Saturday night in Cleveland, May 14th, and it's like 43 degrees outside. Dreary, dreary day, very rainy all day. So you know what, I thought this is a good night to make a video and do an update. Got 3 videos in mind. I've done 2 record digs recently, one at Jerry's that I'm about to show you now, and then I did another one a couple weeks ago in Austin. So one little bit at a time here, and then I've got some 45s to show that I've been promising for a while as well. So, but I want to get this Jerry stuff done. I made a trip out to Jerry's in Pittsburgh. If you don't know about the store, YouTube it. It's a store with thousands, millions of records. This guy, Jerry, who runs it, actually lives in a warehouse with his records. So, yeah, but he prices his records really well, and you know, he's a nice guy, and apparently he's just sold off his massive lot of 45s as well to make room for more 12-inch vinyl for his store. So sorry to see that stuff go, but hey, more room for vinyl for vinyl, so hey, that's good. Anyway, I made a trip out there, again, you know, to look for, you know, the usual sort of new wave indie dance stuff that I typically find, and made a nice haul, and didn't spend a lot of money either. Everything here is about $4 a piece, $3 to $4 a piece. A few things were a little more than that, but only a couple of things, you know, and they were kind of exceptions to the rule. So anyway, there's just a few that I haven't listened to yet, and I went about a month ago. I need to clean these records; they're a little dirty, but once I clean them, I'm gonna you know, listen to them and give them a good spin. So, but the rest I have heard, so I'll be able to tell you a little bit about them. It's a mix of 12-inch singles and albums. So without further ado, I will get started. First thing I found, this was kind of nice. King Trigger. That was an early 80s band. Think Bow Wow Wow, Adam and the Ants, that tribal sound. Well, I have the 7-inch River. Never could find the 12-inch, and it is extended, as is the B-side called Pay As You Go. I think that's what it is. No, Push or Slide is the B-side. So anyway, both were extended. Very nice. Came out on Chrysalis in '82. This one by Floyd Joy, kind of a UK pop band. This is the album called Week in the Presence of Beauty, and a couple years after this came out, in 1987, Alison Moyet would have a hit with the song Week in the Presence of Beauty. But a couple years before, the British band Floyd Joy, based out of Sheffield, did this. And haven't heard this album yet, but I am familiar with Floyd Joy, and they're good, slick kind of soul for the 80s. Here's an album I'd never been able to find when it came out, and did find it. The Blow Monkeys. Whoops, There Goes the Neighborhood. This was their, let's see, first, second, third, I think 4th album that came out. I think the 4th. This came out in 1988, and I had all the singles from it. This Is Your Life and It Pays to Belong, but I never did have the album. So I did find a copy of it, relatively cheap. There it is, The Blow Monkeys. And then a few here. This one, interesting duo. It's William Orbit, the producer who did Madonna's Ray of Light and also recorded under the name Torch Song. Here he had a short-lived duo called Spill, and the woman singing is Beth Orton before she went off and had her own solo career. So I've yet to hear this. I need to give it a clean, but I'm really looking forward to it. I know that she sang on a Torch Song track called Water from a Vine Leaf, and it was really dreamy and nice. So I'm expecting a lot of good things from this 12-inch. It's called Don't Want to Know About Evil, Spill, with Beth Orton and William Orbit. This came out in, I believe, '92. And then a couple of 12-inches I know nothing about. Still Life. It's called Away from This Town. It's a 12-inch that came out, I believe, in '82 on the Regard record label, and I do like that label. It had Hazy Fantasy, One the Juggler, and we're both on that label. So I don't know, you know, it's a 1, 2. Looks like it's a quartet. So I'm sure it'll be danceable UK pop with a new wave kind of twist to it. Here's something from France. It's called Paris. Oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher this. Paris. I cannot read this. But Paris something, and it's by Oberkampf. Let's see, now I've got to be able to tell you. Couleurs sur Paris. I guess that's the colors of Paris? I don't know. Anyway, this is just an intriguing looking 12-inch. It was like $3. Came out on Virgin Records in, I believe, 1985. Look at the interesting Virgin label, too. Kind of interesting. 1982. And look at them on the back cover. If you're a New Wave fan and you see this kind of cover, you have to get this. So I haven't heard it yet. Again, need to clean it. But I'm looking forward to it. Oberkampf, trio out of France from 1982. Here's a Britpop group, Sleeper. And the song I've always liked called In Betweener. Well, this is a 4-track EP. I think the other 3 tracks are from, are unreleased, previously unreleased. 12-inch on Indolent Records. Sleeper were a good Britpop band in the mid-1990s. Liked them a lot. In Betweener is definitely my favorite song by them. So glad to find this. Captain Beyond, don't know really much about it, except some members of Deep Purple are in this band. Take it out of the sleeve so you can see it a little bit better. Captain Beyond. Now, I've heard their other albums a lot better, but I've been kind of fascinated lately with Deep Purple. So I've heard great things about Captain Beyond, seen a few people show it in the vinyl community. Not this one, but the other one. So thought I'd give this one a try. This only ran me like $5. So Captain Beyond. This came out, I think, in the early 70s on the Capricorn label. So, and then the last thing I haven't heard yet was this. It's a 12-inch by Ladders. It's called Gotta See Jane. Came out on the Static label. Chameleons were on Static. Who else was on the Chameleons? I mean, Static's a cool label. The Dance were on that label. Early 80s New Wave dance or label. Not really dance. They signed just all kinds of different stuff. The Sound were also on Static. So I thought, let's check out Ladders. Gotta See Jane. And when I saw Gotta See Jane, I went, I know that song. I have a single by Ardeen Taylor from the early 70s called Gotta See Jane. And I checked, and it is in fact a cover. Which led me to drag out my Ardeen Taylor album. Indiana Wants Me. That was his big U.S. hit. And Gotta See Jane was his other one. And boy, he did a lot of great stuff. Signed to Motown in the at the turn of the decade, 1969 to like 71. Here's a band called The Opposition, who I've heard a lot about over the years, but never had picked anything up by. People tell me if I like the sound, Echo and the Bunnymen and Comsat Angels, I should check out the Opposition. And I did like it. It's a little slicker than I was expecting, but I did like it. They're a trio out of Britain. And this is called Empire Days. It came out on Virgin Charisma in 1985. And it's by The Opposition. Definitely want to check out more by this group. This one I thought might be a little better than it was. The Catch. It's called Balance on Wires. Thought it might be more of a new wave dance, Euro dance kind of thing. Kind of overblown 80s, slick 80s pop. A couple good songs on here that reminded me a little bit of Ultravox Midure. But the rest of it, I really didn't care much for. It was a little too slick and overblown for me. Went into kind of Howard Jones, I don't know, territory. And I like some Howard Jones, but a lot of him I'm not too into. All right, here's a compilation that was real cheap called A Head Full of Steam. Great go-between song. This is just a sampler of things on the EMI label from 1988, I think. 1988. And yeah. And it's got Mark Almond, Diesel Park West. It's got Goodbye Mr. McKenzie, the band that had Shirley Manson before she formed Garbage. Zeke Manika from Orange Juice has a solo track on here. Who else is here? New Model Army. So Crazy Head. So, good stuff. It was only like $1, so I had to pick it up. And then of all, speaking of the Blow Monkeys, another album I never had. I always passed this by ever since it came out, and I don't know why I did. I just never picked it up. So I finally found a copy for like $3. Blow Monkeys, it's their third album. She Was Only the Grocer's Daughter from 1986 or 87. 87. So, good slick pop. I'm a fan of the Blow Monkeys, so easy to please with that. Anytime I see a UB40 12-inch, I try to grab them. Their 12-inch mixes are usually really good and usually have good B-sides. This was no exception. This is called Riddle Me, and the B-side was called DUB Dub, and this came out in 1984. English group called Head, indie band who signed over to Virgin and released this 12-inch. It was called Sin Bin, the Stadium Mix. Not bad, guitar rock, with kind of a dance feel. Think maybe that Petrol Motion or Pop Will Eat Itself. A little like that. Now, I've always had the 7-inch to this, but never had the 12-inch to Hazy Fantasy Sister Friction, one of my favorite songs. They were a fun duet, or duo. Only did one album and a few singles, but you probably know Shiny Shiny from your retro 80s compilations if you're so inclined to buy those type of things. This had an extra B-side called Jimmy Jive, Hazy Fantasy. Have a soft spot for Bananarama, and I especially like the earlier stuff that they did. So this is the 12-inch they had to Rough Justice. Went ahead and picked up a copy of that. The Scarecrows. This is a band I knew nothing about, but they were on the Swordfish label, which I believe was set up by Alan Horn, who originally did Postcard. And this was a label that he had. And they're a Scottish group. I don't know how really to describe them. Kind of twangy, indie rock and roll. I don't know. I liked it, though. It was really good. Here's some good old Italo disco that's not Italian. It's out of New York City. Produced by Bobby O, major inspiration for the Pet Shop Boys. He actually produced all their old demos. Anyway, this is a 12-inch bite called Passion by the Flirts. I'd been looking for this for a while. And the B-side, Calling All Boys. Just good cowbell disco. If you like early 80s disco, you'll be into this. The Flirts went on to have almost a chart hit the following year with Don't Put Another Dime in the Jukebox. Here's kind of a 60s psych album that got reissued called The Morning Dew. And, yeah, I picked this up actually not at Jerry's. I got this one at another store called The Attic. And that was also a really cool store. I really dug it in Pittsburgh. So this is Morning Dew, and it was priced decently, $12.99. Came out on Roulette in the late 60s. Just good kind of acid rock, a little bit of psychedelic, a little bit of folk rock, kind of a mix of all that. Oh, I quite liked it. New Shoes, Point of No Return. I always liked this song, but never did get around to buying the record. Found this for a pretty good price, $1, so I went ahead and picked it up. Point of No Return. This was their follow-up to I Can't Wait. Excuse me, getting over some allergies here. This weather change has got my nose a-running and my throat a-coughing. All right, kind of, I'm going to show by default my Peter Godwin collection. Peter Godwin was one half of a duo from New York City in the late 70s called Metro. Well, they split and each went solo. Duncan Brown went solo, and then Peter Godwin started a solo career with this 12-inch produced by Midge called Torch Songs for the Heroine. Great song. I mean, I love this. And it's got another version on the back that I'd never heard, and I just like the cover. Think Midge Ultravox, Roxy Music, Avalon. If you're into any of that, pick this up. Pick up Peter Godwin anytime you see his stuff. He's definitely worth getting. Which this led me to digitize all my Peter Godwin that I hadn't done. I have the Art of Love 12-inch by him. His only real full-length album called Correspondence, which had his hit Babies in the Mountains. Well, his club hit Babies in the Mountains. This was the first thing I ever got by him, the Images of Heaven EP, which includes Torch Song for the Heroine. This is just, if you don't know Images of Heaven and you like early 80s new wave, you must hear this song. And then here's the actual UK 12-inch of Images of Heaven, which has spoken images on the B-side, so I had to get that one. Showed you the Correspondence album. Well, this is the 12-inch, Babies in the Mountains. Great song by Peter Godwin. Again, can't say enough great things about him. And then Luxury. This is 12-inch I've had for years, but went ahead and made a digital copy of it. Luxury. The B-side is Cruel Heart. Peter Godwin. All right. More stuff from Jerry's. Mary Wilson. She had a kind of an almost hit over here with Just What I Always Wanted. Slick 80s pop with kind of a 60s girl group vibe. You can see her little beehive hairdo right there. She's very stylish, Mary Wilson, and she still performs even today over in Britain. This was a 12-inch she did called Baby It's True. Good slick UK pop. This one actually was kind of good, The Wildflowers. I picked this up because they changed lineup and released a U.S. album a couple years later, but this is one they put out in 1984 with Dave Newton on guitar. This is before he formed the Mighty Lemon Drops. And this just sounded a little more gothy than I expected, almost more like Dance Society or, I don't know, modern English, early modern English. It kind of had a darker tone to it, but I quite liked it. The Wildflowers. The album is called The Joy of It All from 1984 on Reflex. Fun 12-inch from a band I'd like to find more stuff by. They're a Canadian group called Spoons, and this is one called Nova Heart. Just slick 80s pop, dance pop. Kind of atmospheric, too. The Sinatras, this is a group from Britain, kind of flew under the radar for much of the 1980s. This is a 12-inch they put out called I'm Lonely. I first became familiar with them with a song called Happy Feeling, which was on a compilation called Seeds, which gathered a bunch of early 80s post-punk 45s. This is a little more dance-oriented than that record that I was just telling you about, but I liked it all the same, the Sinatras. Don't know, again, it's kind of hard to find records by them, so I snag them whenever I see them. James King and the Lone Wolves, a Scottish band. I think Lloyd Cole and the Commotions, but maybe a little more of a country feel to it. This is a record called Texas Lullaby, 5-track EP. Found this at a store called Soundcat in Pittsburgh. This one's called Number 8 Wire, 16 Trippy New Zealand Nuggets, 1967 to 69. Definitely up my alley. Great stuff. I did know one of the tracks on here, Day in My Mind's Mind, by... Who was it by? The Human Instinct. Good band. So just, I love New Zealand, music, and I love 60s psych and garage pop, so I knew this would be, a slam dunk. And it was $20, and on really nice, high-quality vinyl as well. Old 12-inch by Balaam and the Angel, late 80s indie goth band. This is one called Light of the World, like that. And then finally, a record that I used to dance to in nightclubs in the mid-1980s, like around 86, Brilliant. This is the band that was formed by Youth after he left Killing Joke. They started off kind of post-punk, went in a more dance-oriented direction. Jimmy Cauty was also in this group, who would later form the KLF with Bill Drummond. But during the 80s, they were known as Brilliant. They did an album called Kiss the Lips of Life. And this is a 12-inch Love is War that actually combines two different 12-inches. One, a cover of James Brown's It's a Man's World, and Love is War. And the B-side, the Red Red Groovy, used to get played in nightclubs a lot. And if you want to hear a really good mid-80s dance track, YouTube Brilliant, the Red Red Groovy. Awesome, awesome track. Anyway, this was good stuff. So anyway, that's what I picked up at Jerry's. I've got a couple more videos again to show, a bunch of different things I picked up in Austin that are less on the new wave tip, but also some 45s, so look forward to those. Hope you're all doing well out there, and I'll talk to you very, very soon, okay? Bye.